Hello, welcome to our 20-minute cozy crafting session. We're going to get started. Today I'm working on an autumn themed cross-stitch bookmark. I'm really excited about it. If you're new here, we do relaxing crafting sessions 20 minutes at a time. It's really just space for you to work on a project with me. So I would love for you to tell me, what kind of fun drink you're drinking. This is a cappuccino that has gotten cold by this point because it took me so long to find a pattern. We'll talk about that. And then I'm working on this cross-stitch bookmark. So let me know what you're working on and then what you're drinking, and then I'll set my timer for 20 minutes. One moment. Oh no, sorry. All right, let's get started. So I'm working on this cross-stitch pattern. I just bought it on Etsy. I'll include a link below. And it's kind of hard to see, but we'll figure it out. So yeah, it's like a cute little autumn themed bookmark. I thought since we're getting into autumn, it'd be fun to work on. So let's see. Which color do I need to start with? Green? Bright green? Yeah, that checks out. Okay. So what do we think? Maybe this color? This looks like a bright green. Yeah, we'll start with this one. Start with that much. So I have a lot of projects going on right now. I always do because, I feel like different projects work for different settings and moods. So I'm never just working on one thing. But I really wanted to do an autumn themed cross stitch or embroidery pattern for today's session. And I wanted it to be kind of simple because I didn't want to be this big endeavor that was going to take me like 20 hours to do. And I had the hardest time finding the pattern. Like I spent probably 5 hours looking for a pattern that would work for me. And I'm struggling to thread this needle right now. There we go. Yeah, I spent probably like 5 hours trying to make this pattern or find a pattern that I wanted to make. Okay, so let me see first. So how many stitches across? Oh, you know what? These are sets of 10. So that's 30. Okay. Work smarter, not harder, people. So I'm going to go make sure 2, 3. Okay, yeah. This pattern is like, I didn't have a hoop wide enough for this pattern, so I'm going to have to stop point through how do I say it? I'm gonna have to stop partway through and adjust the positioning of the hoop. Ouch. Oh, I just stabbed myself. Oh my gosh, this is such a comedy of errors. So yeah, I probably spent 5 hours looking for a pattern. And even the one I wound up picking, I like it. It's cute. Was it my dream pattern that I've always wanted to make? No. But really, I was I just want to do something kind of not easy, but just not the biggest undertaking ever in the world and autumn themed. And I had a really hard time finding a project I liked that matched that description. Which you would think wouldn't be the case because that autumn themed stuff is just huge on Etsy and Pinterest and all that. But either stuff was like really complex, and I was like, this is going to take me a month to make. I don't have that kind of patience right now. Or it just wasn't like the aesthetic that I like. Or a lot of it honestly was AI generated. Or I couldn't really tell, and I didn't want to risk it. Especially on Etsy, it felt like a lot of this like top ranking search results were AI generated. And so I was really struggling to find a pattern that would work. And the reason I didn't want to do an AI generated pattern is because like maybe I would be open to it if there was like visual proof that a human had at least made the pattern. Like maybe not made the pattern, but like had tested it and made a project using that pattern. And I couldn't prove that. So I was just like, I don't know that this is going to be accurate. Like I don't know. And I didn't want to waste my time or money on a project that like hadn't really been tested to that degree. And it made me start feeling like, I don't know, maybe I need to start making my own patterns at some point, but I don't feel comfortable enough yet with cross stitch and embroidery yet to do that. Or really any craft. Like I don't really feel like I've ever progressed past the point of following a pattern in terms of my skill level. Like I would love to be able to make my own designs and patterns and stuff, because like I was saying, like, you know, not everything I see out there is like what I want to make. And so it's hard to, like, sometimes I feel like I'm just crafting for the sake of crafting, and I'm like, which is nice in and of itself, right? But I'm kind of like, this finished object isn't really like to my taste. Which is a bummer, right? If I'm spending the time and the energy, I would like to like the finished object. But I also know on this channel, I talk a lot about like being more process oriented than outcome oriented, and doing crafting because the act of crafting is good for me versus like my emotional and mental health, versus feeling like I have to be obsessed with what I achieve through it. So there's some stickiness there with that thought, like, you know, does it matter if I don't love the final project? Because really for me, it was more about learning how to make something and spending the time doing it. But then also, I feel like the truth is somewhere in the middle, right? Like, we should like what we make, but also the point of crafting isn't to make as much stuff as possible, right? It's also, there's value in just spending the time doing it. But also, like, you know, don't make stuff that you don't like at all. So it's kind of tough finding that balance. How far am I? 1, 2, 3. I'm almost halfway. Okay. And you know, I say this is fall themed, and I feel, and because it's like a little cow with pumpkins, and I feel like we're not gonna get to the pumpkins during this session, but that's cool. Maybe once I stop with this part of the border, I'll get to the pumpkins, just so we can get some fall theme in this video. What was I gonna say? I was talking about like feeling that like maybe I need to start making my own patterns, because I don't always like the patterns that are out there. And they're really cool art, right? I appreciate seeing what other people do, but when I'm like, is this something I would want to hang up on my own wall? That's where I have a harder time finding projects that like match like my decor in my house and my taste and all of that. which also it kind of like makes me think about this question of like creativity, right? Like, what is creativity? Is following a pattern and creating an object, even if you didn't design it, is that creative? I kind of think so. Like, I think like the act of creating is creative, and like there's levels to it, you know, and there's something to be said for the type of creativity where you can turn your brain off and just follow the steps and then be happy with the fact that you created something. And then there's the different form of creativity, which is like really expressing yourself, you know, expressing your worldview or your emotions or something like that through art. And I don't think, oops, I messed that up. Oh no. It's fine. We're going with it. Okay. I don't think that it's as easy to express yourself when you're following a pattern, except for like, you know, the nature of like choosing the pattern. You know, like you're not going to choose a pattern that you hate or something like that for the most part. So I guess what you decide is worth your time and your money and your effort is part of the self-expression. And like there's also like, you know, choosing colors and oh man, I'm like not doing a great job aiming right now. Just funny because I'm doing a worse job at the way back down where I can see versus the way up where I can't really see. Okay. So I do think like there's self-expression and artistic expression and even just choosing what to spend your time on and your energy on, and especially your money when you're like buying patterns and supplies and stuff. But I don't ever really feel like, you know, this is my artistic expression when I'm just following a pattern. And so it's made me think about maybe I need to get comfortable enough with some of these crafts so that I can make my own pattern. Although I will say I did knit a sweater, or not a sweater, a scarf for my husband. Is this correct? When we first started dating, that was technically my own pattern. Because like a scarf is like a rectangle, you know, like it's not crazy shaping or anything. So I was able to just be like, okay, it's in stockinette. And then I added a cable down the middle and then added some fringe. And so technically I designed it and that was my design and my expression. And I designed it for him because I thought the color would look really nice on him. And of course now we live somewhere warm, so he never wears it, but he owns it and that's important. Okay. But I've been thinking maybe I want to start making patterns. But then I feel like, you know, I need to get better at the craft itself and probably get better at drawing and all that stuff. So it feels like a long road. And I'm like, well, I just want to do the crafting now. So that's where the pattern comes in. Let me see where I'm at. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6. Okay, 4 more. So I guess the conversation I want to have today is twofold. It's like, I guess there are like 3 questions you all could answer for me in the comments. And one is, do you have a hard time finding patterns you like? And also, do you have a problem with AI generated patterns, or do you like them? Are you open to them, I should say? That's 2. And then, do you think there's a difference in creative expression in following a pattern versus not following, versus making your own pattern or making your own design? And then finally, who has dipped their toes into pattern making in whatever craft? And how do you feel about it? Ow! Oh my gosh, I stabbed myself again. As you can see, I'm like pretty amateur. So part of me is like, I have a lot more work and experience I need before I can start making patterns, because I'm still making rookie mistakes like stabbing myself and stuff like that. But you know, also sometimes I feel like the motivation to get better is making stuff you really want to make, and you can get better by doing things the hard way if that's more motivating to you, if you're more interested in that. Okay, so let me count one more time. 2, 3. Yes, 30. Okay. Now I'm going to go all the way back across. Ooh. And if you've never seen one of my videos before, I talk about this a decent amount, is that I'm very much an amateur crafter. I dabble in a lot of different crafts. I don't consider myself to be like an expert or a specialist in any of them. I just like making stuff. So I'm like kind of okay at cross stitch, kind of okay at knitting, kind of okay at sewing and crochet. And I kind of just like go where the wind takes me. And that's kind of why I created my channel the way I did, because I wanted to talk about crafting. And I wanted to be able to connect with other crafters, but I also like didn't want to position myself as someone who's an expert or can like, I'm not here to give you like the best tips for how to do X craft like an expert. You know, I'm more here to just talk about how much we love it, create a space to enjoy it together, and also to kind of break away from this culture of like always having to be the best at everything, to put ourselves out there doing it. And so I wanted to put myself out there being like okay-ish at something, you know, and I think that's totally fair. Oh no, I got a knot. Let me fix this. Here, we're gonna use another needle to fix it. How did that even happen? Boo. I feel like this is another rookie mistake that I made, and I don't even know what it was, but I know that it happened. Okay. The knot is untangled. Maybe? Yes. Okay. I feel like maybe my thread just got too twisted up. Yeah, so I really wanted to emphasize being proud of like just being an enthusiastic hobbyist, an enthusiastic amateur of stuff that we love, not always having to be an expert, but still feeling like we deserve to like show up in the community and be proud of our work and talk about our work, even if we're just okay-ish at it. The lighting in here is not the best for cross stitching, but we're gonna make it work. really the way I look at crafting is like, this is my space for me to enjoy myself, do something relaxing, and you get like such a dopamine hit when you finish a project too, right? That real sense of accomplishment. And so really trying to not be a perfectionist about it, which is hard for me, but you know, trying to grow, trying to be less of a perfectionist. And really just trying to focus on enjoying the process versus being obsessed with if the outcome is perfect. Because I used to struggle to finish projects because I would see like 3/4 of the way through that like there was some mistake I made that was going to make it so that I would never be fully satisfied with the project. And so I would be like, well, why am I going to spend my time finishing it if I'm not going to like it? If I know I'm not going to like it. But then I also realized like I didn't really get any practice at like the finishing steps, you know, so like in knitting, like, you know, joining stuff or weaving in ends and stuff like that. So like I was really not practiced at the finishing steps. And so I kind of committed at that point to like, I still jump around and there are plenty of projects I don't finish, but I've tried to not let that be the reason why I don't finish something. And tried to take the philosophy of, even if I'm not crazy about something, there's value in like practicing finishing it. So trying to do that a little bit more. Okay, I feel like my eyes are kind of going cross, like looking at this. My foot's falling asleep. Okay, big question for everyone out there. Do we wear thimbles when we cross stitch or embroider? Because I am poking myself left and right over here and I haven't drawn blood yet, but I don't think that's out of the question. But I also feel like they're so clunky and like it really limits my movement. I do know that they have those like thinner like leather or even like rubber ones that you could wear. But I haven't experimented with those. I feel like I've only ever tried a metal thimble and I hated it. I also really love the sound of the thread going in and out. I think it's so soothing, which is an experience I don't get when I craft while watching TV, which I know I love to do. I know a lot of people love to do their crafts while watching TV, but a benefit to doing a craft without that background noise is you get to hear the like soothing, repetitive sounds of the needle going in and out. There's like a rhythm to it, especially once you get in a groove, you know, and you're like not stopping and starting all the time. There gets to be like a rhythmic quality to it, which is really can be very soothing. Sounds like someone's knocking. Okay, we are starting again because my husband got worried about me and he came to check on me. Oh, my timer stopped. Okay, you know what? We are past time anyway, so his timing was correct. But you know what? I call this a fall themed cross stitch, and all I did was this green line. I might Sunday afternoon, I have plenty of time. I might make another video right now where I at least work on the pumpkin. so I can say that I at least did some crafting or some fall themed crafting. Okay, so as always, let me know what you're working on. Let me know what you're drinking today. I had my cappuccino and my cross stitch, and then we will chat soon. Bye everyone.